One question we've been hashing about in the last 30 minutes or so, because we've been talking about, those cases when you run into a mom who's kind of lost control and she's whooping up on her kid at Target or Walmart. At what point is a case like that? And we're going to talk with DA Scott about child abuse, domestic violence. We'll start with child abuse. At what point does that cross the line? And would you advise someone to intervene? Could be saving a child's life or the safety of that child.
Well, you have to use good judgment under those circumstances. Certainly, you do not want to appear or be the aggressor in the situation. You do not want to escalate the violent or potential violent situation. You do not want the child or children to be harmed more by your intervention, if you will. So you have to use good judgment.
Okay. Would you intervene at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
Not a doubt.
Without a doubt.
If a child is being hit on the head or...
Correct. I mean, if I feel that the child is being unjustifiably harmed or in danger, certainly would. And first of all, you try to de-escalate things, talk with the parent or the adult,
sure,
assuming there is one there, chronologically or mentally, and also try to get someone from the store.
Saw a TV piece the other night with one of your prosecutors, Dale Cox, I believe, mm-hmm. and he made some comments regarding child abuse, and it was a story in reference to the death of the little Muskelly girl, a 3-year-old girl. The caretaker, Tarika Wilson, is charged with murdering the child. She was watching the child, I think, while mama's incarcerated, and she's accused of killing the child. Pretty violent situation, it sounds like. Or the police officer was quoted as saying there were no injuries. There were injuries everywhere on the child except the bottom of her feet.
Without speaking to a specific case, because ethically we have to be very careful about talking about specifics. Mm-hmm. The reason for that is we certainly do not want any potential juror to be tainted or have some predetermined notion, before they appear at the courthouse. So I've got to be very careful what I say about
sure.
specific cases. But getting straight to the point, when you're talking about murder cases, and you've got to prove that this was an intentional killing. And the injuries always are different. In every case, they're different. So when you're dealing with children, you rely on the scientific testimony. You rely, obviously, on the eyewitness testimony, the officers that were there, the first responders, the fire personnel, things of that nature. So, we look at that. And I think the point that Dale was making is this, that over the past few years, Erin, we have seen several cases where infants or very young children were killed. And the evidence indicates that it was absolutely intentional.
Someone intended to kill a child.
Or grossly injure them.
Because
absolutely.
They couldn't deal with whatever the child was doing at the time.
Without a camera there, you can't know for sure mm-hmm. what happened.
Why are we it seems that we're getting more and more of these cases, or is it more and more reporting of these cases? It just happened when you and I were kids, but we didn't go talk about it.
I personally think it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination of more reporting, as well as the fact that persons feel and they're told all the time, look, I've got certain rights. Everybody has certain rights, and particularly in the United States. And it's always a balancing, Erin, of the individual rights and the rights of the community to be safe. We try to set these fences, if you will, in the criminal laws. That is, that persons are required to conduct themselves within these fences that are set by the legislature.
There's going to be the mom at that Target or that Walmart who has what I say, going over the edge.
Lost control.
Yeah, we know that. Mm-hmm. And at that point, if you intervene, she's going to get... What business is it of yours? This is my child. I can do with my child what I want, like the child is property. You must hear that as well in the court system.
Absolutely. But domestic violence, domestic battery, cruelty to juveniles is not a family matter. That's everybody's business.
Because that child will end up later in life, we all know about the cycle, that child will end up being an abusive parent to their children, correct?
Likely.
The stats all show that.
Correct.
you take a stance in this case, and I know you don't want to go into specific cases, but Dale made it pretty clear that there was going to be seeking the death penalty in a case like this. It's so cruel.
We are seeking the death penalty in that particular case.
Because of the nature of the cruelty in this particular case?
Based on the evidence, as far as I will go.
I understand. You can't go into the details about this. How is I know you were a judge for many, many years. You've sat on the bench. You've heard so many of these cases. Is this problem worse today? Is it getting worse?
I think we've seen more of it in the last few years.
How do we address it? What do we do?
I think we address it by education. There are a great deal of programs out there, a lot of programs. This particular session of the legislature had several issues, bills, and now laws dealing with domestic violence.